Hey everyone, David here again with Louisville for Everyone. We're a group of residents working to make Louisville more inclusive and affordable. In my last video, we talked about Measure 300 and how it was basically a housing ban in disguise. Well, today we're going to tackle its equally problematic sibling, Ballot Measure 301. Once again, Measure 301 sounds reasonable. The argument is that developers should pay their fair share of the costs of city infrastructure to support new developments. And who can argue with that? Developers should absolutely pay for their impact on our city services. And they already do. Louisville has some of the highest development fees in the entire state. That's not what the creators of Measure 301 say, though. They say that Louisville only collects impact fees in a few limited categories, and that expanding categories simply ensures growth pays its fair share, and that Louisville's current rates are low compared to regional standards. None of those statements is true, and I think when we're done going through all the details, you might be pretty upset with how deceptive this measure is. I know I am. I'm going to show you exactly what a developer pays in taxes and fees, where they go, and just how much it costs for a new home today. Measure 301 would add 9 new categories of impact fees to be charged on all new development. These are for open space, recreation, emergency services, municipal buildings, water, wastewater, sewer, flood control, and affordable housing. An impact fee is a charge on a new building to cover its impact on city infrastructure and services. The argument for Measure 301 is that we need these new fees because development isn't covering these costs. But that claim is demonstrably false. The truth is, Louisville already collects money for every single one of these categories through other taxes and fees. This isn't a new funding source, it's double dipping, charging twice for the same thing. We already have 2 taxes for open space. You might have even voted on the second one in 2023. And I want to mention how use taxes fit in here. Supporters of these measures will probably claim that these aren't impact fees, but use taxes are charged on half of the valuation of every new house, and they pay for capital infrastructure. So take a look at the Capital Improvement Fund, which you see in several places here. A $1 million house would pay 3% of $500,000 into it, which is $15,000. This fund pays for improvements in any infrastructure the city needs. Roads, open space, parks and recreation, libraries, police, drainage and flood control, and any other capital investment that the City Council determines we need, including municipal buildings. So we already have fees and taxes for all the growth-related infrastructure that we need, and it gives our elected officials the flexibility to invest in what we need when we need it. In contrast, the way that Measure 301 would collect the money would tie up our city staff in unnecessary red tape. Let's look at another example, the tap fees. Louisville charges a water tap fee and a sewer tap fee on every new home. It says right in the city code that these are fees for the impact of growth. Quote, the tap fees shall be based on and used for growth-related capital expansion costs for water resources, water supply, water storage, transmission, treatment, and distribution facilities related costs and factors. And these fees are substantial. A new single-family house pays $53,500 for water and $6,800 for sewer. That's more than $60,000 just for the tap fees. And this is the right way to do it. The money goes into one pot that the city can spend on the infrastructure we need. So imagine the city needs to expand its wastewater treatment plant to accommodate a new development, but it doesn't need to expand water treatment for another decade. Under the proposed system of separate fees with separate trust funds, city staff couldn't spend water or sewer dollars to expand the wastewater plant now. And in 10 years, they couldn't spend sewer or wastewater dollars to expand the water treatment plant. Infrastructure investments of this kind are expensive and infrequent. Creating separate trust funds for each category doesn't help the city pay for growth, it impedes it. And this example also shows just how deceptive this measure is. The folks behind this said that Louisville doesn't collect fees for water, wastewater, and sewer, but I just showed you that we collect huge tap fees for exactly the reason they said we need new fees. The average resident has no reason to know about all these taxes and fees. Most of us aren't building a new house. But if someone is proposing a new law that can't be changed for 4 years if it passes, they have a responsibility to be honest to the voters. And the folks behind these measures can't claim that these fees are some secret. I'm going to show you just how easy it is to find them, because it really makes me mad that they're lying to all of us about these. So we can go to Louisville's website, and if we just search for building fees, and pull up this first result here, look at new residential. Look at this. It shows all the taxes and fees you can expect to pay, how they're calculated, and what they're for. This table on the first page has the 3 impact fees that supporters say are insufficient, but those are just 3 of many. Here are the building fees, here are the tap fees, and the use taxes, and all the rest. And you can see in this example that the fees are nearly $100,000 on a house worth $800,000. That's more than 12% of the value of the house in taxes and fees. $100,000 before any dirt is moved or any concrete is poured. If you remember in my first video about Measure 300, they want to force developers to sell 30% of the houses they build for about $350,000 each. Builders still have to pay all these fees on each home. After seeing these numbers, you start to understand how expensive it is to build homes in Louisville, and how much harder it will be if these measures pass. And Louisville is not low compared to regional standards. The Home Builder Association of Denver did a study this summer of 16 municipalities in the Denver metro, and Louisville's fees are higher than every single one of them for a comparable house. So as you've seen, these new fees are totally unnecessary. We already have taxes and fees for all of these categories. If they need to be adjusted because they aren't covering development costs, we have elected representatives and professional city staff who can make those changes. We don't need a parallel fee structure with all its red tape. And I didn't even talk about the rest of the measure, which creates new administrative burdens and an unelected fee liaison committee to help set fee rates. When I look at this proposal, I don't see a good faith effort to make developers pay their fair share. If it was, they would be talking about the Capital Infrastructure Fund and the TAP fees. But instead, they're telling voters that they don't exist. That's a flat-out lie. And when you look at who's behind this, you see familiar names of people who have been trying to block new housing in Louisville for years. People like Sherry Summer, Tamar Kranz, and Matt Jones. They don't want to build new homes right next to the Monarch School campus, which is at just 2/3 capacity, where kids could walk to school. They're not concerned with whether 30% of the homes are affordable or if the fees are high enough. They want to keep developers from building on it until they can get Louisville to buy it and turn it into open space. They want to keep that land vacant forever. And you know who isn't supporting 300 and 301? The affordable housing community. Not one affordable housing group or builder supports these measures because they will block affordable housing. That's why Flatirons, Habitat for Humanity, Thistle Communities, Together Colorado, and YIMBY North Metro have all signed on to the No campaign. The City Council, who understand the city's budget and infrastructure needs, are unanimously opposed. They all know that this isn't about fair share. It's a punitive measure based on the false notion that developers aren't paying their way, when in fact, Louisville home builders are already paying some of the highest fees around. So when you get your ballot, remember what this measure really is. It's a massive, redundant, and destructive fee increase that will make housing in Louisville even less attainable for everyone. Please join our city leaders and community organizations and vote no on Measure 301. Thanks for watching.